Rain fell in relentless sheets, hammering the empty streets. A young woman stood by the roadside, soaked to the bone, clutching her newborn beneath a thin blanket. Her breath came out in white clouds, her eyes hollow from nights without sleep. Cars hissed past, indifferent. She whispered to the baby, voice cracking, "Just hold on, Ella." Then headlights slowed. A sleek black SUV stopped beside her, and a boy's gentle voice cut through the storm. "Dad, can we help her?" Before we dive in, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. The rain had been falling for hours, thick, silver sheets that turned the city into a watercolor blur. Ethan Wallace guided his Tesla through the slick streets of downtown Chicago, the soft hum of the motor blending with the sound of wipers fighting the storm. Beside him, his 8-year-old son Noah peered through the fogged-up window, his voice suddenly breaking the quiet. "Dad, look." Ethan followed his son's gaze. On the sidewalk, under a flickering street lamp, a young woman stood hunched over, clutching something close to her chest, a baby. Her hair was soaked, her clothes clung to her, and she looked one breath away from collapsing. Without a second thought, Ethan pulled to the curb. "Stay here, buddy," he said softly, stepping into the rain. The woman flinched when he approached. "Please," she stammered, "I'm fine. I just need to rest." He shook his head. "You're freezing. Let me help." Her eyes darted between him and the car. "I don't want charity." "It's not charity," he said, meeting her eyes. "It's a ride out of the storm." Noah leaned from the open car door, holding out his blanket. "It's warm," he said with a shy smile. Something in her expression cracked, pride giving way to exhaustion. "I'm Hannah," she whispered. "And this is Ella." Moments later, the car door shut behind her, sealing out the rain. As they drove toward the glittering skyline, Hannah held her baby tighter, silent tears mixing with the sound of the storm. Ethan didn't know it yet, but stopping that night would change all three of their lives. The elevator doors opened to quiet light and marble floors. Hannah froze in the doorway, clutching baby Ella like the world might take her back. Ethan set his keys down, keeping his tone calm, ordinary. Shoes by the door, towels in the hall closet. "Noah, grab the soft ones." The penthouse glowed with warmth, golden lamplight, faint scent of cinnamon from the morning's toast. Noah trotted over with a towel twice his size. "Here," he said, "you can have the fluffy one. It's Mom's favorite." He caught himself, eyes flicking to his dad, then down. Ethan gave his shoulder a quiet squeeze. Hannah hesitated before sitting, the towel trembling in her hands. "I don't want to be a problem," she murmured. "You're not," Ethan said simply. "You're a guest." The words seemed to loosen something in her. She wiped the rain from Ella's face, whispering, "It's okay, sweetheart. We're safe now." Ethan set 3 mugs of cocoa on the table. "I'm not sure what you've eaten today," he said, "but my son insists pancakes taste better after dark." That earned a faint, disbelieving smile. She hadn't smiled in days. Over dinner, conversation stumbled at first, then found its rhythm. Hannah spoke in fragments. Bus stations, nights spent awake, fear of being found by her ex. Ethan listened, never interrupting. When she paused, he said quietly, "Years ago, I was in a hospital with Noah. Scared lost. A nurse sat with me all night. Didn't even know my name. I never forgot that." Rain whispered against the windows. Hannah looked at him across the table, really looked, and saw no pity, only recognition. Sunlight spilled through the tall windows, soft and golden after the storm. The city outside had already moved on, cars honking, coffee carts steaming, but inside Ethan's penthouse, time felt slower. Hannah stirred awake on the couch, startled at the sight of a breakfast table already set. Fresh toast, scrambled eggs, orange juice. Noah grinned proudly. "Dad let me cook. I only burned 1 piece." Ethan laughed from the kitchen. "2, actually." Hannah's face softened, though her hands still shook slightly as she held Ella's bottle. "You didn't have to do all this," she said. "I wanted to," Ethan replied. "You're part of the morning now." For a moment, the simple kindness felt foreign to her, like a language she'd forgotten. She watched as Noah showed Ella his toy car, whispering secrets only children could understand. When Ethan set a steaming cup of coffee before her, he spoke gently. "I run a tech company, but we also have a foundation, one that helps families get back on their feet. We can arrange housing, medical care, Even a job if you're ready for one. Hannah tensed. I don't want a handout. It's not that, he said quietly. It's a restart. She studied him, unsure whether to believe that kind of generosity still existed. You barely know me. He smiled faintly. Sometimes that's the best time to help someone, before the world convinces you not to. A silence hung between them, not awkward, just heavy with something unspoken. Finally, Hannah nodded. Okay, she said. I'll try. Outside, the sky was clearing. But in the reflection of the glass, a figure lingered across the street, watching the building, unmoving. By late morning, Ethan's black SUV rolled into the underground parking of Wallace Technologies. The mirrored towers above glistened in the sun, hiding the gossip and judgment that thrived within. Hannah's hands tightened around baby Ella as they stepped into the lobby. The place felt like another planet, marble floors, glass walls, screens flickering with digital blue. Employees turned to look. Some smiled politely, others whispered behind their tablets. Ethan greeted everyone the same, steady, kind, unbothered. Morning, Jenna. That project's looking good. Good to see you, Dave. He kept his tone normal, refusing to feed curiosity. Inside the elevator, Hannah spoke quietly. They're staring. They'll get used to you. Ethan said, pressing the button for the 22nd floor. I don't hide the people I help. When the doors opened, Rachel Flores, his operations director, greeted them with her usual warmth. You must be Hannah, she said, offering her hand. We've heard a little, the good parts, I promise. Rachel led them through the foundation's wing, bright, open, filled with volunteers sorting care packages. Hannah's expression softened seeing photos on the wall, single parents who'd rebuilt their lives through Ethan's programs. Let's start here, Rachel said. We'll set you up with a counselor, a doctor for Ella, and some housing options. No rush. But not everyone shared the same grace. In the boardroom across the hall, Martin Hale, head of PR, frowned at the security footage of Ethan helping Hannah into his car the night before. CEO brings home stranger with baby, he muttered. The press will love this. Rachel overheard as she passed. Maybe kindness is still newsworthy, she shot back. Ethan caught her glance, grateful, but his phone buzzed. A private number. He stepped aside to answer, and froze. A man's voice, low and cold. You found her. She's mine. Ethan's pulse quickened. Who is this? He demanded. The line crackled. Then the voice came again, harsh and deliberate. You think you're saving her? You're not. Tell Hannah her husband says hello. The call ended. No number. No trace. Just silence. Ethan stood frozen for a moment, the noise of the office fading behind the rush of blood in his ears. Then he turned toward the glass partition where Hannah sat with Rachel, filling out paperwork while Ella slept in her arms. She looked calm, fragile, but hopeful. He couldn't shatter that peace yet. When he rejoined them, Rachel caught his expression. What happened? Nothing urgent, he said, too quickly. Just work. But inside, he knew this wasn't over. Later that afternoon, Ethan pulled security aside. No unfamiliar visitors. No calls through reception for Hannah Miller. Anyone asks questions, direct them to me. His tone left no room for debate. That evening, as they drove home, Hannah glanced at him. You've been quiet. He hesitated. Someone called today? Said they knew you. The color drained from her face. What did they say? That he was your husband. Hannah's breath hitched, eyes fixed on the dark window. He's not my husband anymore. He hurt me. I left while he was asleep. Noah looked up from the back seat, sensing the tension. Dad, Ethan forced a calm smile. Everything's fine, buddy. We're just talking. But when they pulled into the garage, headlights flared behind them. A car idling too close, too long. Ethan's gut tightened. He guided Hannah and Noah inside before the lights blinked off and vanished into the night. The next morning, the city woke bright and unaware. But inside Ethan's penthouse, every sound felt sharper. The hum of the elevator, the creak of the floorboards, even the kettle's whistle. Ethan had already called his security chief. 2 guards now watched the lobby discreetly, and new access codes were programmed into the elevator. Noah thought it was spy stuff. Hannah, though, knew it was fear. Over breakfast, she barely touched her food. Ethan waited until Noah left for school before he spoke. Hannah, he said gently, I need you to tell me what really happened. I can't help if I don't know the truth. She stared at her coffee, fingers trembling. His name is Derek. We were married for 3 years. It was fine at first. He could be charming. But when Ella was born, something changed. He stopped sleeping, stopped trusting me. He'd say I was trying to ruin his life. Her voice cracked. The night I left, he grabbed Ella out of the crib. Said if I wanted to go, I'd go alone. Tears welled up, but she didn't stop. I waited until he passed out. Packed one bag, took her, and ran. Ethan sat quietly, letting her finish. You did the right thing, he said finally. I've been hiding ever since, she whispered. Every time I think it's over, I feel him watching. Ethan leaned forward. You're safe here. I promise. But even as he said it, a knot formed in his chest. Promises were easy, keeping them wasn't. That night, after Noah fell asleep, Ethan stepped onto the balcony, city lights flickering below. He called a friend in law enforcement, asked quietly about restraining orders and hidden addresses. The officer sighed. If he's determined, she's not hard to trace. Money buys reach. Ethan turned, looking through the glass at Hannah cradling Ella on the couch. By Wednesday, the illusion of calm had returned, at least on the surface. Hannah began helping Rachel at the foundation's office, filing papers, answering calls. She was good at it, organized, quiet, grateful. Ethan noticed how employees smiled more around her, how even Noah bragged. Dad's friend helps people like superheroes. But under the laughter, tension coiled. That afternoon, Ethan's assistant called from the lobby. Sir, there's a man here asking for you. Says it's personal. Ethan frowned. Name? Derek Miller. The name hit like a jolt of ice. Ethan rose from his desk, heartbeat hammering. Keep him downstairs. Don't let him near the foundation floor. He took the service elevator, his reflection hard and unfamiliar in the mirrored walls. When he stepped into the marble lobby, Derek was already there. Tall, sharp suit, eyes that burned with something feral. Well, Derek sneered, you must be the hero, the millionaire who collects strays. Ethan didn't flinch. You need to leave. Derek smirked. I just want my wife and daughter. She's not your wife anymore. And after what she's told me, you'll never get near that child again. Something flickered in Derek's gaze, rage barely contained. You think money makes you safe? You're just another fool she fooled. Security approached, but Ethan lifted a hand. Escort him out. If he comes back, call the police. Derek leaned close as the guards led him away. You're not her savior, Wallace. You're just next on her list. For a long moment, Ethan stood frozen, jaw tight. He didn't notice Rachel at the end of the hall, watching, worry written across her face. Later, back in his office, he looked out at the skyline. The sun was setting behind the glass towers, beautiful, but cold. He'd thought this story was about kindness. Now it was about survival. The next morning, the city woke to headlines Ethan didn't authorize. CEO's hidden scandal. Mystery woman in Wallace penthouse. Charity or cover-up? Photos from the lobby security feed, grainy, intrusive, were plastered everywhere. Hannah's face blurred, but Ella's blanket, the same pink one she'd held that night in the rain, was unmistakable. Rachel burst into Ethan's office, pale. PRs in meltdown. The board's calling an emergency meeting. Someone leaked this, probably from inside. Ethan's stomach twisted. Derek, by noon, his phone wouldn't stop ringing. Investors, journalists, even his own father left a voicemail that began, Ethan, you've worked too hard to throw it away over some stranger. He muted the phone. Downstairs, Hannah sat in the foundation office, clutching Ella while whispers rippled around her. She caught fragments. The CEO's charity case, publicity stunt, poor kid. Each word landed like a bruise. When Ethan walked in, silence followed him. He crouched beside her, speaking softly. We'll get through this. I'll handle it. Tears welled in her eyes. You shouldn't have to. You barely know me. I know enough, he said. I know you didn't deserve what happened. That night, as rain returned to the city, Ethan faced the board. They demanded distance, statements, denials, strategic separation. He stood instead. If our company's values crumble the moment compassion costs us, then we never had values to begin with. No one spoke. Cameras flashed as he left the building, soaked once again, just as he had the night he found Hannah. Back at the penthouse, he found her standing on the balcony, the skyline reflecting in her eyes. I should go, she said. He shook his head. You're not going anywhere. Behind them, a shadow moved in the hallway, a door left slightly ajar. The sound was soft, a floorboard creaking in the dark hallway. Ethan turned instinctively, heart pounding. "Stay here," he whispered to Hannah, setting his hand on the doorknob of the nursery where Ella slept. Another creak. This one closer. Ethan flicked on the light. A shadow darted past the kitchen doorway. He caught only the glint of wet shoes before a voice slid out of the dark. "Still playing the hero? Derek." Ethan moved fast, positioning himself between the man and Hannah. "You shouldn't be here. The police won't find me before I find her." Derek's voice was calm, almost casual. He stepped forward, eyes flicking toward the nursery door. "You think you can steal my family and walk away clean?" "Family?" Ethan snapped. "You nearly killed them." Derek's jaw tightened. "She's mine." In one motion, he lunged. The two men collided, crashing into the side table. Glass shattered. Ella started crying in the next room. A sharp, terrified wail. Hannah grabbed the phone, dialing 911 with shaking hands. Ethan fought to keep Derek pinned, adrenaline surging. Years of gym workouts met years of rage, uneven odds. Derek swung wildly, landing a hit to Ethan's ribs before the security alarm blared through the building. Footsteps thundered in the hall. Two guards burst in, pulling Derek off as he shouted, "You'll regret this. She's not who you think she is." Hannah clutched Ella to her chest, trembling. "He'll come back," she whispered. Ethan caught her hand. "Not again. I won't let him." Police lights flickered outside moments later, painting the rain-slick floor red and blue. Derek was handcuffed, dragged out screaming her name. When the door finally closed, Hannah collapsed into Ethan's arms, sobbing, not from fear this time, but from release. 2 days passed. Derek remained in custody, his mugshot on every local news site. But peace didn't come easily, not for Hannah and not for Ethan. The morning after the attack, she sat by the window with a cup of untouched tea, staring out at the gray skyline. "He said you didn't know who I was," Ethan said quietly, standing beside her. "What did he mean?" Hannah hesitated, then drew a shaky breath. "Before I met Derek, I wasn't poor. My father owned a small manufacturing company in Indiana. When Derek came along, he made everyone believe he could help expand it. Instead, he drained the accounts, framed my dad, and when the business collapsed, he left us in debt. My father died of a heart attack a month later. I've been running from that mess ever since." Ethan was silent for a long time. Then, softly, "You're not the woman those headlines made you out to be. You're stronger than any of them realize." Tears filled her eyes. "You still want to help me after all this?" He smiled faintly. "That night I stopped in the rain. It wasn't just to help you. It was to remind myself what kindness looks like when the world forgets. I want Noah to see that, too." Noah appeared at the doorway, holding baby Ella's blanket. "Dad," he said, "can Hannah and Ella stay for Christmas?" Hannah laughed through her tears. "We'll see." Weeks later, charges against Derek were finalized. The foundation secured Hannah a safe apartment and a job, officially community outreach coordinator. Ethan's board voted unanimously to expand the foundation, naming the new branch the Grace Program, after Ella's middle name. One crisp winter night, Ethan, Noah, and Hannah stood together on the balcony once more. The city below shimmered in gold and white. "Funny," Hannah whispered, "how one small act can change everything." Ethan looked at her, then at the lights stretching to infinity. "Kindness always does," he said. And for the first time in a long while, they all believed it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more stories that stay with you.